everyone. First, I would like everyone to stand up for a little moment. You've been sitting for a long time, so it's good to stand up a little bit. And I would like to ask you to search your pockets or your bag or your wallet for something completely worthless, for something that is completely without any value, that an expired bus ticket, maybe something, maybe some dust in your trousers, or yeah, maybe people found something already, or some ripped paper that's laying on the floor. Okay, I think maybe lift your hand if you found something. Oh, it's a lot of people, so it's a lot of worthlessness in this room. That's good. That's a good thing. And maybe you can pass it on to your neighbor if you found something. You can exchange it, the worthlessness. Yeah. Okay, now well then you can all sit again. I'll get back to this later in my talk. It already inspires a lot of conversations. That's good. Once I was on holiday in France, something completely different, and I really enjoyed my holiday. I was in the middle of nature. I was swimming in the river. There were beautiful mountains, and I really had a great time. And then after a few weeks, I had to go back home. I live in Amsterdam, and it doesn't look like Amsterdam like this. In Amsterdam, there's a lot of pavement, buildings, cars, and I really missed nature. So I was walking into the city, and then I saw this. And there was the leaves falling from the trees in Amsterdam, autumn leaves. You have a lot of them now. And I picked one up, and I looked at it. And if you look at it like this, then you can see the veins, and the veins can be a river, and the things in between can be the mountains. And actually, a leaf can contain as much beauty I experienced in that moment, for me at that moment, that a leaf can contain as much beauty as a whole landscape. It's just a matter of perspective. And it made me think that in society, a leaf is something worthless. We swipe it off the street and we put it in the garbage bin, and we get irritated if it comes into our house. And it interested me that something that worthless can inspire me to enjoy it as much as a whole landscape. And I thought it's interesting. This is another worthless, or are many worthless objects. It's a dry paint on a paint tube, and if you peel it off, you get these beautiful landscapes. And nowadays in society, these worthless items that are actually really beautiful, they become more and more scarce. We're more and more focused that every single square centimeter has to be, or has to have its own value, has to mean something or be worthful, or it has to be able to be recycled, or you need to do something with it. And I think, or my belief is that worthless items can also have value, or maybe even have more value than something that has value, because it inspires you to think differently and to look creatively at an object. And I'm a visual artist, and after I found that leaf, I made it my dedication to look for worthlessness also in my art projects and do this. So this is one art project I did, was on Vlieland during Into the Great Wide Open, and together with kids on the island, I counted everything in and around a toilet block at a camping site. And so we started counting things that were laying on the floor, like toilet papers that people left behind, or the hairs in the drain of the showers. So we took them out and we measured them. And the kids, they made drawings of everything they found, and they wrote down what it was. And we created a big infographic outside of the toilet block. And yeah, we found really great things also like hagelslag or breadcrumbs that people left behind after doing the dishes. But for the kids, everything became really magical, and they got really happy and excited when they found something like this, like a old toothbrush or a hair of a toothbrush, and they were really excited. And it occurred to me that, which I didn't realize before, that actually the most worthless items sparked the most joy in the kids. There was one kid and he found this item, which is a piece, two pieces of hard plastic something. And he came to me and he said, "What should I write down on the card, because I don't know what it is?" And I said, "Well, what could it have been, or what should it be, or what do you want it to be?" And then we started looking at the object, and it was really sharp on the edge, and it had white dots, and it was not flexible, and it became some kind of magical item because we couldn't place what it actually was, so we couldn't figure it out. And yeah, also with the other kids, and we talked with other kids, and like, what do you think it is? And I thought it was so strange that something that is so worthless and normally you would throw it away, now all of a sudden became the most valuable item that we found. So I thought I need to create a stage where all these worthless items that can spark creativity, so to create a stage, so I built this house. I didn't build it myself because I'm not very handy, but people, I at least designed it. And it's a wooden house that travels through Holland, and it's called the Worthless Shop. And in this Worthless Shop, you can bring worthless items that you found in your pocket or on the street or in your house. You can bring them there, and we taxate them. So we have accessors. This is the interior. And this is one of the assessors working for me, and we inspect the objects that you bring, and we really look at them very closely. We magnify them. We check their colors. We really look how the shape is, and of course we also check how worthless it is, because we use the rule: the more worthless it is, the more money you get for it. So we're very strict. We don't allow any we don't allow any items that have value in our shop. And we don't use real money, because then I would be broke. So I made my own money, which are called flutten. And these flutten, you can see the design on them is, I took photos with a microscope of the dust that I found in my vacuum cleaner. And I created them to design the money. So you could earn your own money, and with that money you could buy other things that other people brought with them, other worthless items in the shop. And the shop is traveling around Holland, so it has been also here in Breda. That's the other picture you saw. Here it was at Stek at Belkrum Beach, and it also was in Amsterdam at Mercatorplein, in Vlieland, in Leeuwarden. Next week it will be in Almere. And I wanted to go through some items that people handed in, like our showpieces, the most valuable items that we got. For example, this dust bunny, you call it in English, amazing name. It's a beautiful dust bunny with a lot of different colors. So we measured all the colors, we counted the colors, and they got flutten for every color that we found in it. So I think was a girl, and she earned 50 flut with it, but we sold it for 500 flut. So we made some profit as well. It was really great. There was an empty tube of paint. There was also one of the showpieces. I particularly love this one. It's really useless. You cannot use it at all because it's even broken at the top. So also the paint, if you would put paint back, it would come out again. So there was one great one. This is, I think it's a part of a speaker, but it was magnetic, so it was really nice, 180 flut. Then used Band-Aid that didn't stick anymore. So all the products, if people brought in tape or like this Band-Aid we used. We tested if they really didn't stick anymore and if they couldn't be cleaned. This one couldn't be cleaned. It really didn't stick anymore, so we sold it as well. I love this one. There was someone who found this on the street outside of the shop. It was a piece of really oddly shaped plastic or something, or wax, and it felt really nice. And during the assessment of the piece, the person who brought it, he said, "Actually, I don't want to sell it anymore because I think it's so valuable, and it's now you describe it, it's so beautiful." So but then we were only allowed to show it, but we weren't allowed to sell it. So in the end of when we had our last day, he took it back home. These were really very hot items. These are expired identity cards and student cards. Maybe you also received some of your neighbor, maybe. But they sold really well. They were 1,000 flut and 500 flut. And so we were very happy when people handed those in. I love these. There was next to the shop there was a workshop for kids it's the arts and crafts place where they build their own things with a glue gun. And these are like leftovers. Like if you push it too hard, it's like bloop, and then you get this. You get these beautiful shapes, but in the end, the people from the workshop, they complained because they said, all the kids, they just come here to create blobs so they can sell it in your shop and not to create actual beautiful things. But these are really one of my favorites. I think they're beautiful. And also because when I put them in the shop, people, they were like, what is it? What is it? They thought it was something magical, but it's just a blob. In total, we've been in 4 locations, and in total we received 12,000 products, and we sold over 4,000 products. This is our collection of lids of plastic bottles. We had hundreds of them in total, and there was one funny story that a woman, she came in every day, and because she was collecting the lids of the bottle that were completely squashed. So she didn't like normal bottles, lids, but they had to be really flat. And every morning she calmed her cat, and she took with her the hairs that were stuck in the can, and she traded the hairs of the cat for the lids. So it was really nice. She had her own little jar, and she put the hairs in, and she said, and then she could pick out one thing. But what I it's of course really funny, but it's also what I really enjoyed is that then when normally people came in, they first thought they entered a museum, and they looked around and they thought, oh, there's all these precious objects, and then they started looking more closely and they thought, oh, actually it's just something worthless. It's just a used tissue, or it's just. I thought it was an art piece, and what I found was most interesting was that they were surprised by their own ability to see something beautiful in something they would normally throw in the bin. And that ability, that's really what this work is also about, and that's what I hope to inspire you with today as well. And maybe the worthless object you just received, maybe if you pause and look at it closely in the way it's maybe ripped, or the way it's curved, and maybe you also received from your neighbor a showstopper, a showpiece that would fit perfectly in the shop and you could earn a lot of flut with. So I would end my talk with that. Maybe you like to thank your neighbor for your worthless gift you received. Thank you.